Out with me, you really get corrupted.
Yay! There we go. And Dr. Deb came in, so timing is just perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cinco de Mayo edition of the 1 Million Cups Fairfax chapter presentation for today. My name is Tony Barnett, and I am here with all of these wonderful people, new and people who are joining us for the first time, and people who are back, after long absences and are regulars. So welcome. If you haven't already, please make your effort to try and check in on the 1 Million Cups app. You'll discover that if you can't log in, you'll have to remove it and reinstall it and then log in. Just a little glitch with it. We are 1 Million Cups. We are an organization that is dedicated to entrepreneurship, community, and to education for all entrepreneurs. Our mission is to lower the barrier of access to education, connection for all types of new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. We are about connections, not networking. Pitch presentations, not pitches. And we're for the community, by the community, supporting new and aspiring and established entrepreneurs. Our culture is safe and supportive. It's an environment where everything is co-owned by all who show up and support. We have, our exclusivity is for our organizers, presenters, and attendees. And this is an all volunteer-led organization where we rotate new organizers, and we're always looking for new people to join us who feel as passionate as we do and help us build our presenter pipeline so that we can both help them, but also give opportunities to our attendees to learn more about business. As you'll see here, we record on Facebook and on Zoom chat. You can provide us feedback. We meet every week on Wednesday at this time. We engage online, but hopefully before this year is out, we'll be able to start meeting in person again. And if you follow us online by going to 1millioncups.com/Fairfax and follow us, you'll be able to receive regular updates and information. We also participate on several other social media sites, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the other major ones. This couldn't be done without the help of a wonderful group of people, led by Donnell Johns, Jen Dalton, and myself, with Myosha Mendes, John Yu, Melinda Sigel, John Rutenberg, Renetta Jones, Marnie Miller, and Rosemary Savino. And I was going to sit there and put my picture in with a picture of Tony Bennett in here because everybody jokes about it, but I figured I wouldn't this time. We are supported and work through each week by our wonderful sponsors. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Sylvia from Office Evolution to let us know about Office Evolution.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sylvia Ferguson. I'm with Office Evolution here in Tyson's Corner. At Office Evolution, we provide affordable and beautiful private offices, conference space, co-working, virtual services such as professional business address. And so if you're interested in our services, please reach out to us. I will put my information in the chat. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sylvia. And hopefully when we do start meeting face-to-face again in person, we will be doing those meetings at Office Evolution in Tyson's. Now for our next sponsor, and this is kind of self-supporting, is my new organization that I've just recently joined, and that's Shirley Lou Associates Financial Services. We're powered by First Financial Security, and what we are is your new evolution of retirement strategy company. Yes, we do sell insurance. That will be right up front. However, there are new products that have been introduced into the industry over the past couple of years, and we are leading the forefront in these products. One thing I can just put a seed in your brain is this. Where have you ever been introduced to a product where for every dollar you put in on your retirement, you get $3 back? There are some radical products that are absolutely exciting. It's part of the reason why I've joined this crew. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to let you know about this. We're looking for employees as well as customers because we are now serving so many different organizations and communities that we literally have more work than we know what to do with. That's a unique thing in the insurance industry. So if you have someone who speaks Spanish or someone who's young, 18 years or older, who is looking for a job, please let me know. be happy to go ahead and introduce them to the program. Thank you. Now, how do we do our virtual meetings? Please keep your microphones on mute unless you're asked by a moderator to speak. We ask to ask questions and participate in discussions. What you do is use the hand wave icon, or you can send a message in chat, or just post your question in chat and the moderator will be able to call on you, or we can read it out loud. If the moderator says your name, please unmute your microphone and say it, who you're with, and then ask your question. Please put your microphone back on mute when you're finished speaking. Now, we ask that you please be brief with your question, if you have something that's more of a interesting or more detailed discussion that you'd like to have with our presenters, please put your contact information in the chat room so that they can reach out to you later on. All right, and without further ado, today I would like to introduce our presenter today, which is Larry from ShareApp. So Larry, take the floor.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for showing up. I don't know what the normal audience for this is, but I appreciate everyone jumping on to hear our pitch this morning. Next slide. So our challenge question, as I pitched this morning and you kind of hear, given that we're MVP and beta testing and we have very limited users, how can we best structure our company app to be attractive to future investors? Because that's really what we're focused on now. We're coming to the end of some technical development. So just making sure that we're attractive to investors. Next slide. So again, what kind of led us to this? Here you see examples like we've all done it. We've been out shopping, grocery store shopping, or you've been in a local fast food restaurant or coffee shop and you've gotten texts from coworkers or family members asking you to pick something up or take an order for them and bring it back. Or you've just been out shopping in normal retail space and maybe you caught a sale that was online or a sale that was out that you weren't expecting, or you saw something that you knew somebody needed and you tried to call them, FaceTime them to get the product or the sizes. And it just a lot of pain points through that whole process. Next slide. We view the problem as currently there's no solid solution connecting people with products and services in real time. So again, there's no one-stop shop for gig and e-commerce needs, meaning you can show or highlight the product or service through a social media app like TikTok or Instagram, but then you're transferred out through Venmo or some other financial service or application to put your credit card information in to complete it, or that sends you to a website. Next slide. So our solution is just simply the Share platform, where you share videos, photos, experiences. You're able to transact on the back end, where we have the Stripe application tied directly into the app, and you can deliver whether it's personally or through normal traditional methods like FedEx or USPS. And we describe it as simply an AI-powered global community that matches opportunity with demand with a marketplace business model that simply charges a percentage of each global transaction. We build trust through user ratings, through the deliverer or the person actually buying the service, as well as using Stripe on the back end that's backed by Wells Fargo. Next slide, please. We describe it simply as a streamlining for purchasing process, meaning it takes the social media aspect of TikTok, ties the back end with Stripe, which is comparable to Venmo, and has the scalability and flexibility of FedEx. We would say more because you can actually deliver whether you're taking it back to your neighborhood or you're on your way to a foreign destination and somebody's requested that item and you're actually traveling with it, dropping it off for them. So there's a lot of potential there that we see. Next slide, please. So as we know, last year, crazy, it changed the way that we conducted business a lot. So you see here, 2020 global e-commerce sales at $4.28 trillion. And the gig economy was about $350 billion. So we know that the platform can easily sit and integrate in that and garner parts of that business. But rather than just throwing out a blanket product, we focused on Generation Z, ages 7 to 22. Because although they represented $150 billion globally in spending, they were able to influence 4 times that at $600 billion. So just understanding through applications, social media applications, them expressing their desire for entrepreneurship, philanthropy, global connections, global community, understanding that, giving them a platform to not only showcase that, but monetize directly off of that is where we fit in. So it's not just about garnering a piece of that market. We believe that allowing them to conduct these transactions in their normal day-to-day life, you're expanding it, right? You're not asking them to do things that they're not normally doing. You're already going to the store. You're already going to the coffee shop. You're already going to Target. So why not make money doing it? And these are areas that are not captured when you look at this $4.28 trillion. Next slide, please. Listed here are a few of our competitive advantages. So what I'd really like to highlight, as you can see in the middle, the real-time monetization of user content. So as I presented earlier, that TikTok face, well, I'm sure most of you are familiar with social media. You'll see how Instagram and Facebook are kind of leaning towards these type of business models because attention span is shorter, trying to get the ages or the audience younger, because what happens is eventually these technologies begin to get phased out. So you'll see individuals using TikTok for things like financial services, selling businesses or business ideas, but it does not allow them to directly monetize off the posts that they put on these devices. We're able to do that with our platform. So we believe that that is our #1 competitive advantage. Next slide, please. Our go-to-market strategy is simple. It's very basic, just through curated user content, highlighting influencers or people that have services to sell, and promoting what we believe is true entrepreneurship. Giving the youth the ability to highlight or jump into this market without all of the highlighting their individual talents, without having to, the scrutiny of or control of a Grubhub or Uber Eats or something like that. So after that, we're looking at, just reaching out to influencers, smaller audience influencers at first, local community like mom and pop restaurants. Our research, after going around and talking with many restaurant owners, they're excited to have an opportunity to have something where they're not paying 30% through a Uber Eats or Grubhub, and they get that money back. The drivers are excited to have something like Share, where they're not losing $4 out of a $6 delivery. So community building, loyalty points with, local mom and pop restaurants. And then from there, hashtag campaigns, highlighting true entrepreneurship or just local causes or, whatever interests people, just to spark that movement and push the cause along. And from there, hopefully partnerships, collaborations with larger corporate sponsors. Next slide, please. So what's to follow? As I mentioned earlier, we're currently in our iOS MVP beta testing right now. We're developing our machine learning and live streaming. So our live streaming, we're really focusing on a pay-per-view model with also the ability to host live shopping channels within the app. So the difference being allowing the individuals to initiate purchases within the channel and not have them pre-post or pre-position selling items. Just hit the buy button from there and initiate some type of conversation with the user or negotiation, and then finalize the transaction all within the app. From there, once solidified, We have developers, a team of developers right now, standing by to work on Android and web platforms. We solidify our position with the US market, and we have identified international markets in Southeast Asia and Europe. Next slide, please. So here you see our team. I'll just go over a little bit about them. You have the CEO and co-founder, retired military member, Joshua Hu. Has a background in aerospace engineering and has done a lot of international travel, specifically in Southeast Asia, where he's recognized a lot of these pain points that we spoke about earlier in many different cultures in the exact same capacity. So understanding that there's a place for us internationally in this market, not just here in the US. Myself, I'm also retired military. I spent a stint here doing executive communications for about 9 years in the mobile space, and being able to take that level of support and service and apply it to something like the Share platform has been a strength for us, especially over the last 7 months. You see our CTO, Mrs. Candace Blaylock, who also has military experience. She's built networks for the government from the user all the way to back-end servers, but lately he's been specializing in information insurance and cybersecurity. So that's been a very key factor as we gather user data and protecting it, knowing that we're scaling to potentially millions and millions of users, understanding how we posture ourselves properly to make sure that that's not an issue as we grow using the right services. And then you see our creative director, Miss Nancy Chen, with a background in architecture and interior design. But more importantly, she's kind of transitioned over to user experience, user interface. And for us, it's been important because she has been working with JD.com, which is one of China's largest retailers. So they're already in this space and doing some of the things that we see ourselves doing. So it helps us. She already understands the vision and where we're trying to get to. So combined with Nancy, we're highly confident we have the ability to execute the end state of the Share platform where we're trying to get to. Next slide. So this is the last slide. However, before I close this out, I really would like to highlight a couple of these screenshots. Here you see the shoe store is an exclusive shoe store out in LA. And this individual was able to take a screenshot, post video, and get replies back from all over the world to people that don't normally have access to these sneakers. You also see a couple food delivery here, as well as Costco, where an individual can walk around, take pictures, videos, show sales, and immediately conduct a transaction, negotiate the price of delivery, and get the items to whomever that is. And I know for a fact that there are Facebook groups specifically created to showcase Costco or bulk sale items to not just for the country, but ship stuff all around the world. So we are very confident that there's a space for the Share platform, and without doubt have the team to execute it. So with that said, that concludes my presentation, and I can open it up for questions if anybody has any.
Thank you so much. What a great presentation. Obviously, I have to start with thanking you and the majority of your team for your service. Thank you for that. And as we move into the question and answer period, please raise your virtual hand under reactions. You will see that you can raise your hand. You can also ask a question in the chat, and I will be able to see it there and call on you. If you're frantically raising your real hand, I may or may not see it because I don't have everyone on my screen. So I encourage you to use either the virtual hand or the chat. I also want to make sure we have a couple guidelines. We want to keep our questions short. We want to keep our answers short so we have time for everyone to be heard. And I also encourage you, because I think it's really exciting what Larry presented presented, and I have a couple Gen Zers in my house, but that we focus on his challenge question, which is about positioning this for investors. So I'm sure we all have a lot of questions about the use of it, and we may be able to entertain some of that, but let's make sure we focus on his challenge question, which is how to posture this for investors. So Sarah, I'll go ahead and start with you.
That was a really great presentation. I love your product. That's really cool. And first thing, Jennifer Rose would never forgive me if I didn't mention that chambers of commerce can be a great way to work with your community, answer your questions, and that sort of thing. So definitely head up your chamber of commerce. I'm an ambassador for Central Fairfax if you want to talk. But to your question, I feel like for me anyway, it would be easy if I saw you go through the process, maybe the steps of actually how it works, because at my age, it's a little hard for me to just imagine it. And I know that people younger than me get it very quickly, but have you considered maybe doing a walkthrough of exactly how it works?
Actually, yes, we have. For the aspect of time, we kind of limited it on our website. We actually show the steps. So it lays out each screenshot as you go through it and how and what it looks like in the process there. And, you know, of course, as we go through this and pitch to different people, you know, we will incorporate, maybe add a video or, you know, whatever's beneficial, but that's good feedback, because we actually kind of contemplated back and forth whether we should do that or not. Thank you.
Rosemary.
Hey, Larry, great presentation. It's amazing that you guys have brought in all these different processes to come together to solve a problem. Having been in your shoes, a technology entrepreneur with startup looking for investors, I'll share some of our learnings over time. But my first question is, where are you guys headquartered? Are you a Virginia company, a Maryland company, a DC company, or?
We're Virginia.
Okay. So I'll put all of this in the chat, because by the time everybody stacks up behind me, you'll forget everything that I said, which is okay. The number one thing an investor is going to want is a return on their investment. So your job is to make them think that for every dollar they put into your business, they are going to get 5x, 10x, 20x in a reasonable amount of time. And so the way you do that is, in a very early stage company like this, you bring your information, work with Lisa Shapiro to get in an ICAP program to develop a deeper set of numbers based on customer input. And you've said that you've purposely not gotten a lot of users. I'm assuming that's because part of the charging mechanisms may not be up and running yet, but get as many free users, maybe not fully functional, but people who can be good early enthusiasts that you could take testimonials from to bake into your presentation. So you can say, this is the problem we're solving. We made it available to a set of beta testers. This is what they said. And these are our metrics. For every 10 that we spoke to, 10 of them signed up. 9 of them used it. 8 of them are still using it. Only 1 said they didn't like it, or something like that. The numbers, even small numbers, if they track to a good traction, then an investor will be interested.
Okay,
So it's all about numbers and traction. And the reason I asked where you are, in Virginia, CIT is a 3P organization, public-private. They're a technology startup support structure. I'm also going to recommend a couple of events you can attend where I think you're too early stage to get investors, but you can hear pitches from companies that are getting investment dollars in, and that'll help you understand what investors are looking for when they see a pitch. So that's kind of long. I'll type a lot of it up, but there you go.
Thank you. That's fantastic information. If you could capture that, that would be super helpful. Melinda, I'll have you go next, and then Phyllis, and then Lisa.
Great presentation, really enjoyed it. Wanted to first say, I love Sarah's idea about more doing something so that people understand the app better. And I thought of the app or the service where it's storyboarding, somebody draws a picture and just keeps drawing it all the way through because it's light. I also wrote down something when you were talking because I kind of think of you as the point of purchase app for anything online or for e-commerce, the way the past consumer would go in store and there'll be a whole bunch of point of sale that would be up, point of purchase things that would be up in the store that would get the consumer when they were in the buying mode. And what you're trying to do is capture somebody when they're in that buying mode to get them to purchase the product. And then I thought of partnerships for you that may be, again, investors, but also maybe just straight partnerships with companies like Visa, American Express, MasterCard, PayPal, and organizations like that. And just wanted to throw some of those things out there.
Thank you. Those are great ideas.
I'll put them in the chat.
Phyllis, you want to go next?
Thank you. Larry, that was a great presentation. I really love this concept of combining all these things that people are using anyway into one robust package. I think my biggest concern as the parent of Gen Zers is privacy, because now you're working with not only location and personal data, but also financial information. And as you know, privacy is huge right now in the digital world. So just making sure that you focus on the privacy features in your platform and also how it's how it can be, I guess, flexible enough to encompass the various privacy rules worldwide. You know, Europe is much more strict than other places. And even in the US, there's some states that are now trying to do have higher privacy, I guess, features. So that's my only
Yes,
feedback.
thank you. It's kind of why we use Stripe on the back end, because it requires so many levels of verification. And it's definitely like the Apple Store in general, every week is releasing out new rules and new regulations that will not allow you to just, place anything on there. But it's a constant concern, as I mentioned. That's, we have our CTO Candace, who specializes in information assurance and cybersecurity, because understanding, having used apps like this ourselves, huge concern. Every user will have it regardless of whatever platform.
And I'm not an expert in privacy law, but I do know people who are. So please reach out if you need somebody who knows a lot about cyber privacy.
Thank you. Yes.
Awesome. Lisa, you want to go next?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Josh, I think we've had this conversation, and I know you've talked with Josh Green, the ICAP program director, and thank you to Rosemary, who is always shouting out ICAP. But I mirror her sentiment in that I also believe the best way to posture yourself to be appealing to potential investors is by really showing that there is a market for what you're producing, and that does include really knowing your customer segment. And part of, or I should say, the majority of what you do in the ICAP program is solidify and validate your hypotheses that will be around your MVP, and will also help you really narrow down and focus on your customer segment. Again, ICAP is a free program for Virginia-based businesses. I can't highly recommend it more, exactly for what you're doing. It's designed for high-tech, innovative, technology that are looking to bring their product to market. So you fit perfectly into this category. I know Josh has had a conversation with Josh Green, and again, Larry and Candace, we'd love to welcome you to have another conversation. I do like the idea that Sarah White had about producing a small demo. And I think that's on your website. And what's interesting for me about this is because I've seen your app, I've downloaded on your phone, I've used it before, but this seems like it's a slight pivot than before. And so I would be interested to know the reason why you changed your customer segment to like the younger generation. As a mother, just, and I mirror Phyllis's comments there too. I'm a mother, my kids are 13 and 17, a little bit older, but this is the type of technology that they would probably use. My son is a sneakerhead. He invests in resale sneakers for fun. And so this sounds like something he might really think is cool. So I'd love to hear about why you decided to pivot your customer segment, and also, of course, to help invite you to say, okay, how you become really appealing to your potential investors is by really being able to show that there is a market for what you're doing, that you solve a problem, that you're innovative. And I agree with Rosemary, CIT or the Center for Innovative Technology would be your first go-to when look for technology investors. I hope that helps.
Actually, it does. And to kind of touch on the point you made about the reason for the pivot, one, watching technology and the way that that's changed over the last year and the way that people use it. And two, Josh and I both have kids, but I literally have, a 10-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 22-year-old. My 22-year-old out at UC Davis, I've flown out there to see her. I've went on campus, I've done surveys. I actually went out to Stanford and did the same thing, talked to college kids and their interest. And what I found was that age specifically didn't want to necessarily participate in gig economy because it takes too much time, right? They're studying, their finals, they have all these things going on. However, if you gave them a space to where they can make money in their normal day-to-day life, the same people that said they wouldn't do it switched instantly, did a full pivot 180. I have my daughter who's 18 years old, and she senior in high school, but does videography, right? So she's done some things for some pretty large companies like Planet Fitness. She actually did the video for our website. So having an avenue or platform to where she can advertise that service and be reached. And then my son, I used him as a beta tester. We didn't think much of it. And Josh and I woke up the next day, he had posted a Pokemon card on the app. We didn't tell him, we didn't whatever. I was just testing actually something out on the back end with the financial transaction portion of it. Woke up, he had posted a Pokemon card, put a description, did the whole nine. And not only that, but it was the most viewed post out of the entire thing. So we were just like, my daughters are very socially active. So when I started researching about Generation Z and the things that they're interested in and their behavior, it resonated with me because I saw it in my house, literally. I got another daughter about to go off to college. My other one's there. Having been on these campuses of, Fordham, here, George Washington, speaking with these kids, it really drove the pivot. We do have video of interviews and things of that nature, but we're just really trying to solidify a solid product right now. But that it wasn't just we're going after this, we're going after that, and then knowing that they influence such a huge part of the market, and you see them driving the way technology is formed now. So yeah, I hope I answered your question, to speak to the pivot specifically. I'm sorry if
I hear you. The kids are like the wave of the future, and they're born with these chips in their heads. So I hear you. And it's neat to be able to have your own testers right there in your home.
Yes, that helped a lot, especially being spread out in the country, like my daughter being in California and having access to that UC Davis campus and then being able to drive down to Stanford. And so when you start hearing the same things on all these different college campuses, you know, the initial like, I don't have time to do it, da, 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 da. But then you say, hey, but would you? Oh yeah, I absolutely do that. And then they start thinking about it. And then it turns into, can I have it right now? Can I download it right now? Like just, you know, they're thinking, you know, kids on college campus freshman year don't have a card. So one kid goes to Target and he's or she's bringing back all these things for, you know, it's an opportunity for them to seamlessly make money and they can still go about their life and do the things that they're doing. So that was a common thing amongst, you know, the campuses that we visited. And yes, that drove a lot of the pivot.
Thank you. I appreciate you explaining that. I think that's helpful. I have a college and high school kid and can very much relate to all the points that you're talking about. Tony also made a great point in the chat because we really want to make sure we're focusing on your challenge question of investors, and that you really, you know, his point. And Tony, do you want to speak to that real quick? I don't need to read your point.
Okay. Having been in this business like this for most of my life, I can tell you right now, investors want to see demand before they even look at you. This right now with an MVP, which some people don't know, minimum viable product. Yeah, if you have that operating, you have beta testers, have your beta testers recruit others. Start getting exponential growth, because here's the critical thing. You'll be able to chart your, you know, people who are downloading your product and actually using the product. And when you chart that from now until, you know, you really decide to, you know, go big, they're looking at your growth curve. And if you're showing exponential rapid growth, that catches their attention. If they see that you've been up and running for 4 or 5 years and you've only managed to get a few thousand users, that doesn't interest them. What interests them is that it's a quick adoption, people are using it and continuing to use it. So if you can track those metrics, that's valuable when you sit there and start putting those in pitch decks out to potential investors. Okay.
Thank you.
And just one last point that I'll make, just from looking at your slides, hearing all the points, I would definitely recommend that when you're talking about investors and your beta testers, you might encourage them to have a couple companies that you want to go after. You've talked about Target, you've talked about Costco. You know, encourage your beta testers to take advantage of those so that you can show those stores who have the money the advantage that this app is providing to them. So with that, there's a lot of great information in the chat. Please make sure one of you on your team, Larry, Josh, Candace, are saving this chat so that you can have all this information. And I would like to ask Donnell to wrap this up with one final question for you.
Is it that time already?
I was told it's that time.
Oh my goodness. We were having fun.
We can still have fun.
Well, keep in mind, we have a past presenter update today, so we want to make sure that she gets the opportunity to speak.
Yeah, so Larry, this is I really like where you're going with your technology, and this is amazing, and I'm glad that you have the fortitude to come on here and share your idea with us. But the reason why you're here is to give feedback. Well, my final question is to you is, what can our 1 Million Cups community do for you?
So this was great, this platform, being able to showcase the product and get the feedback that we got, because it's definitely a lot of beneficial, substantial feedback. I wish I knew more, or I could see who was on the call. You know, like I will go through the list and read all the, you know, and but this is actually my first one seeing, and I'm presenting at it. So yeah, that's great. But knowing some of the faces and, so maybe I'll develop that as I continue to go through these. But outside of that, this was a great opportunity and a great platform. So I really don't, just me understanding maybe the potential connections going into it.
Well, fantastic job, Larry. You've done a great job, and everybody in your team. Big applause, please. Great presentation. I think we had one of the best turnouts we've had in quite some time. So credit yourself for that. And yes, I will be sending you a link so that you can download all the information, the chat and the video, so you can link to that. All right. So be confident. You did a great job.
Thank you,
So
guys.
at this time, I would love to introduce to you our past presenter update, Natasha Hines with Keep Your Headgear. Natasha, you're on.
Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Thank you for the intro, Tony. So my name is Natasha Hines. I'm the CEO and founder of Keep Your Hair Headgear. We offer satin and silk lined military and civilian headwear, and I briefed at 1 million cups in June of 2020 when 1 million cups quickly pivoted to doing virtual presentations. So let's see, it's been almost a year now, and a lot has happened since then. During my presentation, I was selling the military hats, and I had one licensing agreement with one sorority. I received a lot of advice from all of the amazing advisors at 1 Million Cups. For example, there was a recommendation to do licensing with sports teams, working with hair care distributors, getting contracts with the federal government. I'm a retired Army veteran, by the way, working with barbershops and hair salons. The business advisors that I did work with over the business advisors from 1 Million Cups that I did work with was of course Donnell with Veterans Grow America, doing all of these amazing veteran business expos, and they're going to be doing it nationwide, in fact internationally, I'm sure at some point. I've worked with Russ. He did several logos for me for my hats. I've been working with Bob. He's helping me in a huge way when it comes to my patent designs and patent application. I submitted my patent application back in 2018, and it's basically been going back and forth. And so, he basically said, look, I can help you with this. And I'm like, okay, Bob, let's do this. So I'm hoping to get some really good news from that here shortly. I've worked with Phyllis to get some legal advice. But what I did after 1 Million Cups, in addition to working with several of the business advisors here, was I went ahead and applied for 5 additional licensing agreements, which were approved. So when I briefed last year, I had 1. We currently have 6. But now the challenge that I'm having is funding, right? This is what I've learned during a contest that I entered, and I'm going to reach out to you later, Larry Keith, to send you a lot of good information that would be very, very beneficial to you as a military veteran. But I entered a competition for Black veterans with the PenFed Foundation. And that's when I learned that my market was at least a $520 million market. I know that maybe this is something I should have known before, but it really blew my mind that it was that big. And I actually won $15,000 from that contest. And that created a domino effect with acceptance into 3 additional veteran entrepreneurship programs. So between April to June of this year, I'm actually currently going through a program called the PenFed Foundation Veteran Entrepreneurship Investment Program, Master's Program, where they're literally doing a boot camp with group sessions, one-on-one training, to teach me how to pitch to investors. They're teaching me how to do pro formas. They're teaching me about the legal requirements, because I have Legal Shield, right, for just like basic questions, right? But for my product-based company, I'm going to need something more robust when it comes to working with investors and doing all of these contracts, which are forecasted for the future. I'm also in another program called the Hofstra Veterans Venture Challenge, where they're also teaching me how to pitch to investors. And then I was also identified as a finalist in Veteran Shark Tank, which is going to happen in Prince George's County in June. So there's just a lot of things going on right now. And what I do want to thank 1 Million Cups for your continued efforts with helping so many small businesses with getting to the next level. I know that when looking at one of the recommendations about sports teams from 1 Million Cups, I'm definitely looking at that for the next level. Like right now, we're focused on, we have 6 licensing agreements with 2 universities, 3 sororities, and the US Army, right? But when we look at going to the next level, it would definitely be sports. We're looking at the New York Yankees as one of the licenses that we're gonna definitely try to go after. And I want to say that concludes my update for today. Thank you.
Fantastic, Natasha. Great to hear from you, and thank you for that update. It's great to hear that things are progressing and moving forward for you. Again, if anybody wants to get Natasha's contact information, go ahead and just put it in, and she knows we'll share that with her, and you can just sit there and put in requests to follow up directly with her or check out her website. All right. So next week we have Rowan Tree, the woman-centered co-working and co-growth community. I think several of you who are online now already are familiar with them. If not, this is a great introduction to a really interesting organization. So yeah, we look forward to their presenting, and keep in mind that anyone can present at any time. All you have to do is just go ahead and apply at 1 Million Cups Fairfax.com, fill out the form, and someone from the group will be in touch with you about scheduling your presentation. Usually that's John Rutenberg, who's here online. John, can you give us a quick update who we have coming up?
So next week you've already mentioned, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Rowan.
Right. The 19th, we're wide open. So we're really seeking a presenter for the 19th. And if we fall short, one thing we're going to do is have a town meeting where we're going to ask you how we can improve the 1 Million Cups for you. So if we don't have a presenter on the 19th, we will be meeting. And we have someone on May 26th, which will be the last meeting of the month. And of course, let me pull up. That individual, he just signed on, the newest applicant. And of course, 1 Million Cups doesn't want to open. Here we go, maybe. But we do have a presenter on the 26th. If any of the other volunteers has 1 Million Cups open, you may be able to get to it before me. There we go. It won't let me go to schedule. So for a change, here we go. So we have on the PHA Scarves Plus. So another clothing company that's trying to get traction. And they've just signed on. But again, if we need presenters, one of our biggest challenges is getting new presenters. So if you know people, first invite them to our group, let them see what we do, and let them gain comfort that we're a very easy group to present to.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Now I have to admit something a little embarrassing. I did not quite have enough time to populate our upcoming events calendar, so I'm going to graciously reach out to Sarah and ask that she go ahead and update us on what's going on in Fairfax County for events. So take it away, Sarah.
Well, I wish I knew all of Fairfax County, but I can't speak for the chamber this morning. And we have lots of great events on the calendar, but I did want to highlight one of the events that we have coming up May 7th from 11 to 1 o'clock. We're doing Fairfax Finest, which is a donation drive for our first responders. We're looking for bottled water, hand sanitizer, lotion, hot tea, hot chocolate, hot cider packets, healthy snacks that we can give out to our first responders. So if you're interested in donating anything for that drive, we will be available. It's going to be, like I said, May 7th from 11 to 1. I'm going to put the link in the chat for you so that you can see where to go and who to contact and all that great stuff.
Thank you, Sarah. And for anyone else who does want to find out what's going on in Fairfax County, go to the Fairfax County EDA website. They're another supporter of ours. Usually we have a couple of them online here, but they're not with us today. If they are, speak up. Otherwise, if you go to the site, you'll find out, from Business 101 to all sorts of other events that they're putting on. All right. Thank you. So thank you for everybody for joining us today. Please make sure that you go ahead and put your contact information into the chat room so that we can go ahead and share that information with Larry and his team so that they can follow up with you with additional questions or feedback. And Larry, thank you for posting up and your information in the chat so people can sit there and copy and paste it so that they can follow up with you. All right, so we have a couple of minutes left. My fault, we're running a little bit fast today, but that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the deck, and let's just go ahead and spend some